Okay, class, I'm going ahead and doing my recording for today because I told you all tomorrow night I have a meeting to go to, and also it's my wife's birthday, so I'm going to be out of place. So, what I thought I would do is I'd take a few minutes today, spend a little time talking about what's going on to wrap up the course. Just so that you know, we're going to be wrapping up our course on Sunday night at midnight. That is March 8th, and we will be closing everything up. I'm hoping that I will have your grades posted by the 10th, which would be Tuesday next week. Um, for those of you who are going to be with me for 486, we'll be starting 486 almost immediately. The syllabus has been posted on the Moodle shell, so if you're signed up for my class, you can already get to it. Also, some of you will be taking 484 with me. Those of you who are residency teachers with licensure, you all will be with me for 484, and that's a 1 hour course. We'll talk about that a little bit later because we're going to have to work out some things on scheduling and how we're going to do our business and take care of what needs to be done. I should have all of your behavior intervention plans back by probably by no later than Friday night. But all things considered, I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk to you a little bit about what we're going to be doing to close up. If you noticed on week 8, there is an essay about emotional intelligence. Okay. And emotional intelligence is a key part of what we do in classroom management. And let me just explain a little bit about why I think this is important for us to look at. We can read textbooks and we can read theory and we can do all the things related to theory and textbooks and available information. There are a lot of people who are just brilliant at knowing these things. However, one of the things that happens a lot of times is where there's the disjoint is that when you are in a classroom, sometimes the little darlings can get the best of you. And that's one of the things I want us to think about a little bit. There's a certain level of emotional intelligence we have to carry into every situation, whether it's classroom management, whether it's our marriages, whether it's our work relationships with our colleagues, whether it's civic things or church things. We have a reason to have a certain amount of emotional intelligence. Now, part of this final essay, if you'll notice, there's an article I want you to read, and it says there's a final assignment in this course. I'm reading this straight off the syllabus. I would like for each of you to write a final reflection essay using the article on emotional intelligence that I attached to the syllabus. In the essay, I want you to reflect on how you, as an educator, will continue to develop these skills as you start and progress through your teaching career. The goal of this assignment, as I said before, is to help you identify and begin to develop skills for the classroom, which will help you work with their students' parents, with the larger school community. One of the things I think people don't think about when we get into this business is that the larger school community is very important. Your community, and most of you all work in small communities. You work in schools that are in small towns that are fewer than 5,000 people. Um, and one of the things that you have to think about are you're in rural areas. A teacher is considered a real leader in those types of areas, okay? Number one, you're one of a small group of people who are educated. So that's a very important part of what you do. Second of all, you know, you're there because people trust you with their children. So emotional intelligence is very, very important. Okay. And your community entrusts you to do right by the children in the community and by the community itself. So the larger school community, you've got to be able to realize that working in a school environment involves not only your classroom, not only your grade level and your hall and your school, but it involves your entire community. Because I will tell you, one of the things that happens very quickly in small towns, and I spent 29 years in small towns working, and I can tell you right now, one of the things that's probably one of the worst things that can happen is getting a bad reputation early in your career because it's hard to shake a bad reputation. Okay. And from a classroom management standpoint, one of the things about it, you don't ever want parents to perceive you as being the mean teacher. meaning that, you just really don't care about the kid. You really don't care about how well they do or anything like that. You want them to perceive you as being empathetic toward their child and their needs. You want them to perceive you being empathetic towards the family needs, because you got to remember something. One of the things about public education, one of the things about teaching children is you are in essence teaching the entire family. Okay. You may not be teaching the entire family as in they're all sitting in your classroom, there on a regular basis and what have you, but you're really teaching the entire family. Think about your homeschool folders. When you take your homeschool folders home at night, and the kid takes it home to the parent to show what they've done for the day. The parent has to read it. They might have to sit down and read for 10 or 15 minutes with the child. They might have some spelling to do, might have a math problem to work through, and then they have to bring it back to school, right? Well, they're seeing what's going on. They're seeing what's happening instructionally somewhat. They're not seeing all of it, but they're seeing some of it on a daily basis. And the reason why this is important is because one of the things that you have to bear in mind is that parents are also going to bring their experiences from the school environment into what we do with our children. Okay. If a parent had a great experience, not a problem. If a parent didn't have a good school experience, that will, that will come back in to the environment. And I'm just going to say, one of the best things that you can do as an educator today, before you go another week in this business, is sit down and really think about what's important for your child and your child's parents to get out of your classroom on a regular basis. That's really vital. And I will say this, I think you're going to find that when you start thinking bigger picture and you start thinking about where you fit in the bigger picture as far as with your children and with their parents, you're going to do much better. But this emotional intelligence piece is really important. I really want you to reflect and develop your thoughts. And remember something now, y'all, this is the last thing I'm going to get to see of yours before I put a final grade on your grade sheet. Okay. And I really want to see how you've pulled the things from class together for the semester. Now, one of the things that I really wanted you all to get out of the last assignment we had when we did the assignment on writing behavior intervention plan on Richard from the essay Shame is I really wanted you to think about the things that really affected that child and how you as an educator could work through those things to help that child out. Okay. Because you got to remember something. There are some non-negotiables in education. We know that. We have a curriculum to cover. We have to make sure that we do some very important things with helping our children develop. The developmental aspect of our children is vital. But you also have to remember something too, that if we do not make the effort early on to to make sure we address those children's needs, then we're probably not going to be very successful in teaching that child. And one of the things I wanted you to get out of watching this child, particularly with this teacher, is, this teacher, and I'm just going to say this teacher in that essay was a product of her time. Okay. And just to give you an idea, those of us who last year went through Hurricane Florence in schools, and we knew that a good percentage of our children were displaced and living in places they hadn't lived in, lost everything they had, everything else. All those things happened, and we know it was hard on those kids. So we really had to be very empathetic as to what we did with children in schools, because there were going to be days after we got back to school following the hurricane, there were going to be days where we just weren't going to get a whole lot of learning done that day. Okay. And that's one of the things we had to think about. We had to think about that empathy piece. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in. When you can look at someone and you can say, I know that they are having some serious difficulty, and I have to address the hierarchy of needs before I can address the academic requirements. when you can start doing that and you can start seeing that and you can go there first, you will be able to help your kids much, much, much better than you would be able to otherwise. And I'm just going to say this, you know, when we are sitting here and we're thinking about this business of education, it's not easy, neat, clean business. All right. It's messy. On its best day, it's messy. Okay. And that's why when we were talking about classroom management, if you remember the very first week, the first thing I said to you all was there is no magic formula for classroom management. You're not going to figure it out in year one and repeat it 29 more years, because the things that are going to happen with your students and with their families and with the community you're serving and all the things that are taking place, the things that are going to happen are going to change. And you're going to have to be able to adapt any plans you have to change. And you may even be in a situation where when you're working on, you know, building a classroom community, where you have to scrap everything you ever did and go in a whole different direction. It's kind of funny. I'm not a terrible big fan of Ron Clark. I'll just say that. Ron Clark, the Disney Teacher of the Year. He started teaching in North Carolina and Beaufort County, a little school called Snowden Elementary School. And one of the things that happened when he went to New York to teach in an inner city school, one of the things he really tried to do was he tried to get kids who had traditionally not been very pro education to buy into what he wanted to do with them. Okay. And matter of fact, one of the first things he did was he painted his classroom to make it look inviting and nice and, colorful, and hung things up to make a print rich environment. And sometime overnight, kids came in there and vandalized his classroom and graffitied the walls and did all kinds of stuff. And he got there to school the next morning and the room was trashed. And, so instead of, kind of flipping out, he went down and he got the paper cart and he covered the walls where it had been graffitied with huge pieces of blue poster paper, so that the classroom still looked somewhat inviting. And he cleaned the classroom up before the kids got there. He did a lot of things to try to build a community before he tried to do anything else. And let me just say this, and I'm gonna finish on this because I'm not going to take a whole lot of time with this. If you are in this business because you want everybody to tell you what a great teacher you are, you're in the business for the wrong reason. If you're in this business because you really truly want to see the next generation of students have a fighting chance to be successful, then you're in the right business at the right time for the right reason. Okay. And one of the things I would suggest to each of you after you wrap up this class, sit down and really assess and evaluate what it is you do, why it is you do it. Is it something that you came up with? Is it something that you watched somebody do? And, because I'm going to say one of the things that happens a lot of times in our business is we will send teachers to, say, a school that's got some bang wild program that's just incredible. And then we will buy the program and then we will bring it back and we will try to cookie cutter it into every single classroom in a school building. And I'm a firm believer in the fact that teachers need to be able to be creative in their classrooms to serve their classroom communities that they have in their classrooms. Okay. And you can't cookie cutter everything. Every child is not the same. One of the things we always have talked about through this course is all children learn, but all children learn differently. And we have to remember all children learn differently. Those of you who are putting together the PPAT tasks for licensure this semester, you remember in task 2 and 3 when they ask you to choose different students to assess and different students to watch while you're teaching and what have you. The reason why is because, yes, we have a curriculum we have to meet. We have a curriculum we have to follow. But we have different children receiving that curriculum, and they're all going to receive it in different ways. Okay. Some children are visual learners. Some children are tactile kinesthetic learners. Some children can hear something and get it the first time. Okay. Some students have to draw pictures. The point is that as classroom leaders, as teachers who work with our students on a daily basis, we have to bear in mind that we have to prepare to deal with a variety of students in the same classroom. They're not going to give you 28 of the exact same student. They're not going to give you 15 of the exact same student. You're going to get a classroom full of different little personalities. You're going to get a classroom full of children who, some of them are going to be ready to come to school when they come to school. Some of them are not going to be ready when they come to school. Some of them are going to be lucky if they get a teacher who realizes that they may need some extra help in some places and then proceeds to get that help for those students. Some of those children are going to be very fortunate. Do I believe every child can learn? I certainly do. Do I believe we have to look at that? I certainly do. Do I believe that administrators need to give teachers some latitude? I certainly do. One of the things I will tell you as far as your classroom management is concerned, you must follow the district policies. There's no doubt about it, because district policies reflect state law. You must follow district policies. However, you have to apply policy in a manner that is most beneficial to the students who are in front of you. Okay? So remember, classroom management is not a magical, golden egg that once you figure it out, everything's wonderful. Okay? Classroom management, purely and simply, is that you are finding a way to manage a classroom. You are finding a way to build a community, and you are finding a way to go forward with your students because you want them successful. If you're in kindergarten, your goal is to watch them walk across the stage in 12 years. If you're in 5th grade, your goal is to watch them walk across the stage in 7 years. If you're a high school teacher, you want to see them walk across the stage within 1 to 4 years, depending on where you are in the classroom. So remember, it's your job to see the end of the tunnel for them, because they may not be able to see the end of the tunnel. They may not even thought they'd ever get out of the tunnel, depending on where they came from and depending on what their experiences were prior to coming to school. They may not have even been able to get to the tunnel. But your job is to see the light at the end of the tunnel for them and help them get to that light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, your final essay is due by midnight Sunday night. I need it quickly so I can grade and turn right around and post your grades. Okay, new syllabi. If you're with me for 486, new syllabi, you should have the Moodle shell already posted. If you are with me for 484, that Moodle shell is already posted too. There'll be some work done to it. Anyway, I have really truly enjoyed the time we've spent this semester. I wish you all the best of luck. You know how to get in touch with me if you ever need me for anything. And I'll do my best to help you out. You guys have been a good class to have. I've really enjoyed it. I wish that some of you might have been able to participate a little more in the Zoom sessions, but all things considered, now that we've figured out the recording process and we've got everything fixed, from here on out, if you have anything with me, we should be okay. You all have a good day. Good luck, and if you need me, give me a call, or you can send me an email. You all take care. Thank you.